kept you waiting, huh?
Okay guys, welcome back to another Saturday special. Now, as you can already see, we are going to talk about my favourite game of all time. I can't wait to share this one with you guys. And for me, this are some of the most memorable quotes in all of gaming. Things like,
Good. Now we can fight as warriors. Hand to hand. It is the basis of all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon.
or there's,
Too late, Snake. Now die.
and probably my favourite quote of all time in any game.
Cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal.
It is, of course, Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation 1, released back in 1998. So guys, in this video, we're going to be talking all about Metal Gear Solid 1. We're going to be talking about my favourite bosses and what makes them so great. So guys, please enjoy the video.
Not yet, Snake! It's not over yet!
Liquid.
That's right. You belong on the ground. You should crawl on the ground like the snake you are. Come, let's fight.
Okay guys, our number 10 on the list is the tank. Now this is our second boss in the game. When you just as you come out of the base and you come onto the snowfields, you go through the little minefield, and then this cutscene comes up where you encounter the tank, a Vulcan Raven inside. Now this is so low on the list because, I mean, I'm not saying it's a terrible fight, because it isn't, but it could be over in, well, 2 grenade throws. As you can see with the first grenade I took half the health off the tank, and then I kind of butchered the rest. But it is a very, it's a quite an easy fight really, as long as you use a chaff grenade from a distance to stop it shooting, shooting at you from distance. Then all you have to do is kind of hug the tank, stay close, and you should have no problem with it. But for some reason I was having an absolute mare. But yeah, it's still quite a fun fight. Like, you still have to try and be tactical with your grenades, try and avoid getting run over, because that's one of the biggest problems when you're going against it here, is that you can get run over by it. It doesn't do loads of damage, but you should be okay. Just try and keep close to it, that's all I can say. Plenty of ammunition and things around, but like I said, if you wander off, then yeah, it's not going to be good for you. So yeah, this point of the game, the tank is stopping you from entering the next base there, where the sort of nuclear warhead storage building, where you need to progress. So guys, that is my number 10, the tank. Okay guys, coming in at number 9 is the first Sniper Wolf fight. Now, I don't think much of this fight really. The only thing is, you feel a bit emotional, you feel a bit angry when doing this, because one, she's sort of shot Meryl, your sort of love interest at the time, also, you think. And yeah, and the other problem is you have to go all the way back to the first base to try and find yourself a PSG-1. And the other thing is, the problem I had with this fight is that I actually forgot to go and get some diazepam, so I had an absolute stinker fighting the Sniper Wolf because I couldn't keep the bloody controller, not the controller, the sight straight, as you can see, and it was really frustrating. But then I actually looked online afterwards and didn't realise this, but if you actually do it... See, I was actually trying to run back to see if I can go and get some diazepam. I just thought, oh, I can't, I'm going to have to just go for it. I actually looked online, and if you like go in and out of aiming, he actually keeps the rifle straight. which I had absolutely had no idea. You know, the fight, yeah, see, it's straight, and then you have to try and line it up as quick as you can, really. I don't think there's any sort of real tactic here to beat Sniper Wolf. It's just follow her along there, you know, along that sort of narrow walkway there, and just keep your eye on her. And if you have your diazepam, it shouldn't be an issue, because you know, as long as you don't let her get out of sight, you shouldn't have a problem with Sniper Wolf. On any difficulty, really. You just have to kind of just keep following her, and she'll hide behind that pillar, you know, hide behind the sides, but sometimes she'll sort of go prone, sometimes she'll just crouch. It's just, you know, you just have to be quick with your reflexes, because she'll shoot you first otherwise. Yeah, it's quite an enjoyable fight, but it's not the best fight on the game, I'd say. I feel like it has more sort of emotionally significant value rather than being a really good fight. Number 9.
This is the greatest handgun ever made. The Colt Single Action Army. 6 bullets, more than enough to kill anything that moves. Now I'll show you why they call me Revolver. Draw!
Well, number 8 is, of course, Revolver Ocelot. Probably one of, if not the most iconic character in the franchise, because obviously this is the first fight, first sort of boss fight you have in Metal Gear Solid 1, and he actually tends to appears in the first 5 Metal Gear Solid games, so he's a really big part of the franchise. And yeah, love him, love his revolver. I think like this is another one of the quotes I've got. I could just sort of reiterate anytime, anywhere. Love it. And the fight with him is pretty cool as well. You know, it kind of sort of, I feel like it teaches you to, you know, I mean, I don't do it in this fight, but you chase him around and you kind of stop, go the other way, and you can catch him reloading his revolver. So there's sort of there's different ways of fighting him in this. I know some people can aim across the room and get him, but obviously you run the risk of shooting President Baker. But each to their own. I really enjoy this fight. You know, it's a great first fight, and the damage he deals with those revolvers, you know, those bullets as well, is horrendous. So just try not to let him shoot you too often. I mean, I'm on easy mode, so call me a casual all you want. So it's not likely quite to kill me. But yeah, really fun fight, and absolute great dialogue all the way through from beginning to end. Love how he talks to you during the battle. Love to reload during battle. That was a terrible impression, but I just love that. I love everything about Ocelot, and so, guys, that is my number 8.
Rejoice, Snake. Ours will be a glorious battle.
This isn't glorious. It's just plain killing. Violence isn't a sport.
Well, we'll see if there's iron in your words.
Coming in at number 7 is Vulcan Raven. The second fight. I guess you can call it the second fight. Now, it's a shame because I absolutely adore this fight. It's got, you know, it's got everything. It's even got like a second phase where he runs faster, and you know, and the good thing is you can use so many different weapons on him. You know, I try and use a couple of different weapons. I think I use a Nikita missile, Stinger, grenade, C4. It's fun because you know you've got so many weapons at your disposal at this point. And at first he goes a bit slow, so he's quite easy to get. But I mean, that wasn't a great shot, but it's a really fun fight, really fun fight. It's a shame it's so low on the list because I would have liked it higher, but I just feel like because of the the emotional significance of some of the others and the fight itself, like there's just so many good fights in Metal Gear Solid, and this one, although it is a very good fight, it's not like, I wouldn't say it's worthy of the top 6 in my opinion. You guys might sort of have a difference of opinion on that, but you know, this is my video. So yeah, honestly, it's a shame, because I think after after sort of after watching his dialogue and the cutscene beforehand, you just think this guy's great. Like, you don't really want to kill him. He's, you feel like he's not really a bad guy, and you have some good banter with him as well, talking about the muck tuck eating contest and the ear pull, and it's an interesting insight into some of the culture they have as well in Alaska. And really good fight. It's just it's a shame you got to kill him at the end. But it is what it is. You need to, you get to this point, you're in the sort of second, you're in the underground maintenance base heading towards Metal Gear, and you need to get past Vulcan Raven to actually get to Metal Gear itself. So he's kind of the final hurdle before getting to Metal Gear, if I remember. Metal Gear is the last, or the next boss after this one. So, yeah, guys, not sure what else to say about Vulcan Raven, except that it's an absolute shame you have to kill him. This is at the point I was going to actually say where he gets a lot faster, so it's difficult to target him. He sort of runs after you, and there's like some of these shots I'm in a blind panic. But anyway, guys, wrapping it up now. This is my number 7, Vulcan Raven. At number 6,
Colonel, what's a Russian gunship doing here?
this of course the High D, and I absolutely love this fight too. It's really cool. I mean, it's because you see it right at the beginning of the game, you think, wow, what a cool gunship. I mean, it's like the Hind D's been given to Liquid Snake in collateral, as collateral for like the down payment on Metal Gear to the Russians. So yeah, it's a really cool fight. Loves Liquid's dialogue all the way through, and it seems like such an intimidating fight, but it's in terms of the fight itself, it's not that bad. As long as you shoot it and sort of avoid it, get out of the way, then it's fine. I think to this point, it's the first time you really fight Liquid. I mean, I don't count this as one of Liquid's fights. It's for me, it's the Hind D fight, but the first time you actually first time you technically fight Liquid, and you hear him, and again, this one's got some memorable quotes as well, like "Eat this." I just love James Flinder's voice acting in this. It feels so overacted, but oh my gosh, it's incredible, isn't it? And yeah, so what you need to do in this is whip your Stinger missile out, aim at it, shoot, run away, just like I'm doing now, because as soon as you shoot, it'll open fire on you. And then when you get the Hind to about half health, something like that, it'll go out, shoot one huge missile towards the base. For some reason, doesn't even affect you. And then the second phase of the fight, then it starts going underneath you. And then it'll just rise up and start firing on you. So what I tend to do is I wait for it to go down. When it comes back up, you just fire on it. Eat this. And yeah, fire on it, run again, and just hide. And that's pretty much the strategy throughout this fight. So at this point in the game, you've just climbed up the communications tower, because you have to rappel all the way down first, because he appears and you haven't got a Stinger missile or anything to fight it with. So you have to kind of rappel down to the bottom, climb all the way back up the tower. It's a bit of a palaver, but yeah, once you get to, once you first run away from it, you grab your Stinger missiles, run back up to the top. Then once you've got enough ammo, enough rations, you can take it on. And yeah, this is where you're at then. So after you fight this, and you make your way down to the bottom of this tower, and you then try and make your way through the snowfield then to the underground maintenance base where Metal Gear's being held. So guys, Hind D is my number 6. Kicking us off, the top 5 of the list is the Psycho Mantis fight. Now, this fight, you kind of lost for words with this fight, but I'll try my best to sum it up. This was mind-blowing as a kid. It absolutely blew my mind. Like, for the life of me, I remember trying to shoot him, and he would just laugh at you, like, I can read your mind, and just laughing, and it was so frustrating. And I remember just panicking, not knowing what to do. Obviously, I didn't have the internet back then in the late 90s. And I just thought, I just kept panic ringing everyone. And eventually, I think it's Colonel Campbell who will turn around and say, why don't you try plugging the controller port 1 into controller port 2? And for some reason, he's like, Mantis is absolutely baffled. He's absolutely baffled as to why he can't read your mind anymore. And it's such a cool concept. It's absolutely, it's the first game where I feel like they've breached the fourth wall. And, you know, especially like the opening, for some reason I cut it from this video, but, you know, the opening dialogue where he tells you what save games you have on your console. I don't think they do it on the PlayStation 1 version, but I think they do it on the GameCube version, as far as I'm aware. And you're like, you've not saved off, and you are somewhat reckless. And I used to, I remember my friend saying, oh my god, he told me, you know, I played like Super Mario Smash Bros or something on GameCube. And I was like, what? That's insane. And he never did it for me, so I think it was just on the GameCube. But let's kind of move on to the fight itself. Like, there's so many cool aspects to this fight, because it starts off, again, if you don't have the thermal goggles, it's going to be difficult, because he does that thing when he goes and just like the Hideo thing comes up, you know, Hideo Kojima, and once that disappears, he disappears. And you don't know where he's going to be unless you've got the thermal goggles. So he'll just randomly appear and just throw this ball of telekinesis at you. And then once he's done that, he'll summon these two things, or is that before? But anyway, there's lots and lots of different aspects to this fight that are still challenging. Like, trying to shoot him with those things chasing you is such a pain. And then you have these 3 things that just come at you wherever you're running. So that's annoying. It's just, yeah, so many annoying aspects to this fight. And then, you know, you've obviously got the Meryl situation as well. So obviously the fight starts off with you beating up Meryl or throwing a statue. I think you can throw a stone grenade as well, but you can beat Meryl up until you knock her unconscious. And he calls her a useless woman. Useless woman. And then he obviously gets to a point then where he asks her to blow her brains out. And you would then have to beat her up again, and it's almost like he sort of runs out of ideas at that point. And he's kind of accepting that you can't read your mind anymore, and he's just baffled as to why he can't read your mind. So once you beat him, then you have another dialogue with him, and you realise that he's got this troubled past, and you really feel for him. He talks about his dad, you know, blaming him for when his mum died, and it's such a sad story. And he felt like his dad was going to kill him, so I think he burnt down the house and he ran away, you know, when he was young. So that's why he wears the gas mask now, to stop other people's thoughts from entering his mind. And he's just such a brilliant character in this game. And yeah, it's another shame you have to kill him, because you want to see more of him. But you know, maybe you do a Metal Gear Solid 4. Who knows? That is my number 5, Psycho Mantis.
No, it cannot be. No.
Coming in at number 4 is Sniper Wolf 2. Now, this fight is a beautiful, beautiful setting. I mean, as far as PlayStation 1 graphics go, it's such a cool setting. You know, this huge snowfield is the only thing that separates you and the underground maintenance base, and you have to get through Sniper Wolf to get there. Obviously, you fought her once, they captured you, and now you get to have your revenge, as Snake says. As he say, this one's for Meryl or something like that at the end of his codec with Sniper. For someone who actually gets his codec, so that was, you know, impressive in itself. But yeah, I absolutely love this fight. You know, it's a similar sort of fight to the first one where you're chasing her through the snowfield, but obviously there's a lot more places she can hide, and there's this sort of, like where I am, there's a hill, and she always seems so you don't know whether she turns right or left at the hill, so sometimes it's a bit of a guessing game. But yeah, it's such a cool fight, this one. And I think the main reason this one is so high on the list is because the emotional sort of impact it has at the end. The really emotional scene with you know, with her, and you know, you're describing her as you know, she says she's a Kurd, and she's like, you know, she says she's failed everyone, and he says, like, you know, you're a wolf, you know, and it's this really emotional ending. And then obviously it becomes more emotional when Otacon just kind of appears out of nowhere and tells her he loved her, and it was really sad because you love Otacon, and for that to happen to him, you're just devastated for him. And yeah, obviously her final sort of phrase is having a gun, and he says everybody's here now, and you know, it's really emotional and a really good fight as well. You know, it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely more challenging than the first one, just because the amount of places she can hide, and she like just stops every now and again as well. But I actually had a really good fight with her this time round. And yeah, so guys, this is my number 4, just missing out on the top 3, Sniper Wolf.
I finally understand. I wasn't waiting to kill people. I was waiting for someone to kill me. A man like you. You're a hero. Please, set me free.
Why? I loved you.
What is it?
My gun. Give it to me. She's part of me. Everyone's here now. Oh, okay, hero. Set me free.
Goodbye.
Now, make me feel it. Make me feel alive again.
Bringing us into our top 3 is Grey Fox, or just known as Ninja on here. You don't really know who he is at this point. But honestly, this you see glimpses of him throughout, you know, the sort of beginning of the game. You see him chop Ocelot's arm off, and you hear about him from some of the soldiers, and you think, oh, he's just this sort of mysterious character at this point. And I remember, you know, the scene before this where you see all the bloodshed and all the bodies, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm getting myself in for here. And you get here and you have a little you know, a little conversation with him. He's trying to get Otacon out of the cabinet. Well, he's not trying to get him out of the cabinet. He's sat there actually first, isn't he? And he wheezes himself Otacon, and then once Snake comes in, he runs to the cabinet and hides, you know, sort of hides away. So, and then you challenge him. You challenge him, he challenges you, I guess. Because it's almost like he wants you to remember who he is at this point, and you don't really know. And then you have this fight with him where, you know, yeah, if you try and shoot him, he blocks it with his sword. So the only way you can beat him is by punching him. And like he says then, you know, hand to hand is the basis of all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon. And once he says that, then that's where it begins. And you know, the first phase is you just sort of, you know, you just sort of beating on him. That sounds wrong. Beating him up. And the second phase, then, you know, he's like, oh, you know, great, try and catch me or whatever, and he just decides to go invisible in certain places. And then the third phase of the fight then starts walking towards you, disappears, and throws this like really strong punch. So it's a difficult fight if you don't know what you're doing. Like, he's very fast, very agile, but once you know his sort of move set, he's, you know, it's not too bad. So, and obviously, you know, I rate this fight. This is why it's in the top 3, because of it, again, of its you know, emotional value, because at the end you find, you know, at the end of this fight, you know who he is, and you find out, you know, he was your I guess he was your friend at one point, and then you fight him in Zanzibar and you kill him. Then you kind of find out he's actually come back as this cyborg ninja, and you know, you try and clarify it with Colonel and everyone else, and they're like, oh, we thought he was dead, blah blah blah. And yeah, it's really emotional. And then obviously, I'm not gonna go into too much detail at the moment, but then you have that scene when you're fighting Metal Gear, and yeah, I'll get to that later. But let's just round this up and say, yeah, fantastic fight, really emotional. It's like coolness personified. You know, you're fighting a ninja. It's hand to hand. Like, it's an epic fight.
Can't be.
You know, not a cool setting because you're just in a big computer room, but really fun fight, and absolutely worthy of a top 3 place.
What? Not again. What's happening?
Losing myself.
Is it over?
If you win, you might still be able to save her. You could enjoy one brief moment of love before the end. If you cross this line, you'll fall. At this height, it will kill even you. How about you, Snake?
Hey guys, number 2 is the Liquid Snake fight, and this is a doozy. And what an absolutely epic setting as well. You know, he goes through this massive sort of speech where you're sort of tied up, and tells you about who you are, that you're sort of part of the Les Enfants Terribles, the Terrible Children project. And yeah, the you kind of end up then and then you actually, sorry, you see Meryl then, you know, he talks to you, you may have one brief moment of love before the end. And yeah, you don't know whether she's alive at this point or whether she's dead. And obviously we all know that depends on the torture scene, doesn't it? So yeah, absolutely epic fight because you're on top of Metal Gear, you've just destroyed it, and this is like the last, I guess it's the last fight of the game, isn't it? The last boss fight. I don't really count the car chase scene as a boss fight because it isn't really, is it? There's no health bars or anything apart from your own. But yeah, absolutely brilliant fight. And you know, again, I love another hand-to-hand fight. I know you can cheese this one, can't you? You can just keep punching him over and over, but I've never been able to master it. But this one's an absolutely epic fight and a really epic conclusion as well. So you think sort of that's the end of Liquid, but you know, you have to wait and see really. Yeah, so rounding us off at number 2 and just missing out on top spot is the fight with Liquid Snake.
Impressive, Snake.
Thank you, Snake.
Okay guys, you might have guessed it from that clip anyway, but here is my number 1, Metal Gear Rex. Now, I mean, it's probably no surprise to anyone that this is my number 1. It's probably everyone's number 1. It's an insane fight. It's got so many weapons at its arsenal, you know, it's quick. You can't, there's not a lot you can do to get away from it. You're gonna take, I feel like you're going to take damage, whatever you do. So equip your rations, get your stinger out, and just try and be as quick as you can, going back and forth, trying to hit the radome. An insane fight. It's what you've. The thing is, it's what you've been waiting for this whole game. Like, there's been so much talk about Metal Gear Solid. I keep calling it Metal Gear Solid Rex. It's called Metal Gear Rex. There's been so much talk about it, and you finally get to see it in the flesh, in action, and you have to fight it. You know, because Snake. He sort of activated it, didn't he, through the PAL code, and you had no idea. I remember me playing the first time, I had no idea. I just thought, yeah, cool, this is how we deactivate it, and then it was like, activated, and you're like, what? And yeah, this scene, you have a little chat with Liquid, he jumps in, and you fight him in it, and it's so good. And the first part, yeah, you're just fighting the radome, you don't fight Liquid or anything like that yet. You think you've destroyed it at this point, but not quite. And you will notice the radome is still active. See, did that do it? Yeah, and you think it's all sort of done and dusted at this point. And then you find out it's not. And then who comes in, swoops in and saves the day? Gray Fox, of course.
Hurry! Get away!
Great Fox.
The name from long ago. It sounds better than Deep Throat.
So it is you.
You look terrible, Snake. You haven't aged well.
I'll send you back to hell!
So at this point, Snake and Grey Fox sort of catch up, and Grey Fox tells him, you know, that he's basically waiting to die, and talks a little bit about Naomi and their relationship, and how he's not actually her big brother, and she didn't know this. And obviously Grey Fox tells Snake to tell Naomi, but he can't bring himself to do it because he knows it'll break her heart, knowing that Grey Fox was the one who killed her parents. So it's a really emotional scene, and obviously this is another reason why it's all this dialogue, all these scenes are part of my number 1 pick, because of the emotion, you know, involved, as well as the really good fight. So yeah, there's a couple of scenes I'm going to just let you guys watch, and yeah, really emotional stuff. I still get emotional watching it now after like 20 odd years of of playing this game.
We're just about out of time. Here's a final present from Deep Throat. I'll stop it from moving. But
In the Middle East, we don't hunt foxes, we hunt jackals. Instead of foxhounds, we use royal harriers.
Fox.
How strong is that exoskeleton of yours? Snake, are you just going to sit by and watch him die?
Cornered Fox is more dangerous than a jackal.
Destroyed the radome.
Impressive! You are indeed worthy of the codename Fox, but now you're finished!
No! Fire the stinger!
Fox! Can you really shoot? You'll kill him too!
Kind of gets to this point now where you've got your Stinger missile aimed at them, but you can't shoot. Snake keeps refusing to shoot, even though you could keep spamming it constantly. He won't shoot. But yeah, it's a really sad scene because you kind of have a feeling he can't move. He's a broken man at the moment, and yeah, this sort of happens.
Snake, we're not tools of the government or anyone else. Fighting was the only thing I was good at. But at least I always fought for what I believed in. Snake, farewell.
Foolish man. He prayed for death, and it found him. You see, you can't protect anyone, not even yourself. Die!
Whoa. So it's such a tough watch. If you haven't seen it before, it's, I mean, you're probably not going to be that emotional if you haven't seen it before because you don't really get what's going on, but for someone who's sort of played it all the way through, even played it for as many years as I have, it's still really emotional to this day. Yeah, he's such a great character, and just how callous and liquid, how callous sort of liquid can be at the end there. Says how impressive he is, being worthy of the codename Fox. Kills him, and then says you can't protect anyone, not even yourself. So it's really sad, and yeah, brilliant fight, absolutely everything going for it. Emotion, fight itself is 10 out of 10. So guys, we've come to the end of our video, and that is my number one choice, Metal Gear Rex. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one.